What's up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, setting the pace. And look, today we have a lot of bad things to talk about, but let's kick things off here positively, Facci. This is episode 1000 for our podcast. So, hey, we've made it this far. This is a milestone I didn't know if I'd ever see for us, but hey, it's really cool to see that we finally made it to 1000 episodes here at Setting the Pace.
I don't think I ever thought it was possible. I just don't think when you start a podcast that you ever dream of making it to 1,000. I remember we made a big deal out of 100, episode 100. Like what? To me, that felt like, okay, this is real. We stuck around long enough. Many podcasts put out a couple episodes and then they fizzle out. To get to 100 episodes was huge. 500, whoa. 1,000, I still can't even really put it into words. It's just, hey, I'm really appreciative for everything that you and I have been through and all the listeners that supported us along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny just to see how much we've grown as a podcast in terms of listenership, in terms of how we've grown as podcasters and our, just how we've developed chemistry. It's really interesting to, just kind of follow. But I'll say this: I think it was Wednesday night. I was like, hey, our episode Sundays, our 1000th episode. You go, is it really?
Whoa, I knew it was coming up at some point, but you lose track with everything that's coming out, all the episodes, the things that are going on in the season, and then it hits you like, wow, 1,000 episodes. That just sounds like so much, and in reality, yeah, it's over the course of 6 years. So, hey, you and I, we've been at it for a while. We hope that the next 6 years is even better. But when you're talking about how we've grown. Oh, we did some big interviews early on that it's tough to even listen to because you and I have developed so much as podcasters that it's like I think of just like cringeworthy stuff in episodes, I don't know, the first 5 or 10 and that's how you're supposed to feel because if you don't feel that way, that means you did not grow. And I can honestly say you and I, we got better.
I will say there are some episodes I still listen back to that are recent, and I go, man, I sound terrible. But I think if you're not, criticizing yourself, it's not normal. You have to be kind of a hard critic for improvement. But let's get to what's really important today because we have a lot of news to talk about. Obviously, the Pacers fall to the depleted New Orleans Pelicans, 125 to 118. So I am definitely disappointed with the results of this game, Facci, because this is another winnable game the Pacers could have had. So let's just start here for a second because the Pelicans didn't even have a big three available because they had four key rotational players out with injuries. You have Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, and DeJounte Murray. Okay. The Pacers, the only player entering the game that they didn't have that was in the rotation was Andrew Nembhard. So you definitely have the Pacers here who have an advantage. The Pacers' big three that we've talked about, Myles Turner, Tyrese Haliburton, Pascal Siakam, they combined for 39 points in this game. The Pelicans' big two, because they didn't even have enough to have a big three, Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram combined for 60 points. When your big three get outscored by 21 points to two other superstars, and you're relying on your entire role player, your group of role players to bring you out of for a victory, that's not going to lead to a win. So I was just highly disappointed with how our stars played.
Absolutely. And there was a moment where I was like, man, Indiana's really in this game. And then I went, just listen to yourself. That's pathetic. They shouldn't be in this game. They should be in control of this game. And they never were. They were neck and neck all throughout the first half. Then it's like they were, I mean, the whole game was close until, New Orleans kind of ran away with it the last 5 minutes or so. But that's unacceptable. This is, now you think of the game against Philly, where Philly was, without Paul George and Joel Embiid, and Indiana lost that game. It's like these shouldn't be close games. I don't know if they're taking these opponents lighter because they're without, so many good players and they're just overlooking them. I'm not sure what it is, but obviously I know you saw it because I saw your tweet. It was Zion Williamson, first career game, 30 points, 10 assists. Of course, obviously, it's like if you want to, have that great breakthrough game, yeah, you play Indiana. It's like Paulo Banchero, career high. Tyrese Maxey, it wasn't a career high because he dropped 50 on us last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like guys are going off against the Pacers, and I felt like this was a very winnable game that could have gotten Indiana back on track. It would have felt good, would have brought them to 3-3, and once again, not the case.
I want to go and talk more about the game in general before I jump into specific players here, Facha, because I was looking at some of these runs the Pacers allowed to happen in this game, and it was just pitiful. So they get outscored 33-24 after going up 11-2 in the first quarter with 3 minutes into the game, like 2.5 minutes into the game, Pacers are coming out firing. They're up 11-2. Pelicans call timeout and they outscore Indiana 33-24 the rest of the quarter. That was frustrating. It's all tied up at that point. And the second quarter, right? They get outscored 19-6. They had a 56-43 lead. And with about 6 minutes left, they get outscored by 13 points, go to halftime tied up. Then to end the third quarter, they get outscored 9-2. And then the final 3 minutes of the fourth, they get outscored 12-6. The Pacers have been atrocious at closing quarters this year. And I've just been kind of frustrated because you see these guys play well, right? And sometimes I think Carlisle might keep in his bench unit a little bit too long because they're playing well. Then they kind of run out of gas, bring the starters back in. They're not as fresh. Then the starters kind of have to kind of like warm up while the other team's going on this slow run. And then that run just catches up with them. So I don't know how they fix it. Obviously, just got to play better. But to me, like just the amount of runs, like they probably were like for 40 minutes of this game better than the Pelicans. But for 8 minutes, they weren't. And they got completely dominated in those 8 minutes. And I think that might have been the difference in the game.
I think it was too. I mean, Indiana has just not been consistent, throughout this season so far. I mean, think about it, how they fumbled the game against Philly. I mean, just the last couple minutes where that ends up going in overtime, just awful. Against Boston, a massive meltdown. They blew a 24-point lead in that game to have it go to overtime. I mean, that was unacceptable. We were very fortunate the Pacers were able to pull that out, but they have just not been able to put teams away. They even made a good run in that fourth quarter. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the final 5 minutes was just New Orleans just running away with it. And I just think that this team has had trouble putting teams away. Like when keeping your foot on the gas, like just being able to finish the job, put the nail in the coffin, whatever saying you want to throw out there, they have not been able to do it. And it's frustrating to see right now. It's like that Boston win almost feels like more like a fluke than anything else.
I don't want to say it's a fluke because I do think they played really well. I mean, they
They
shot
did.
the ball incredibly well
Best game
too,
played. Yeah.
but they get up for Boston. And I think that their mindset in this needs to be that way against every team they play, right?
Totally.
Because I don't know, like they walked in and it looked like they were playing well, right? Like no Nimhard, Mathurin gets a start. Mathurin looked pretty good early on. I thought he had some really nice moments. I think he was like 6 points, 3 assists early on. Like he looked really good, just the way he was passing the ball and scoring, like felt really good. But then all of a sudden, Aaron Nesmith, this guy is 5 for 5 from the field. He shoots a three in the corner and he kind of does like this little tiptoe thing. And Willie Green is like right behind him, standing in the out of bounds spot, but on the bench. And I kind of wanted to know your thoughts because we know that there's like a coach's box for the coach to stand. Willie Green, in my opinion, was out of the coach's box when he was standing there, which got in the way of Aaron Nesmith. Now, that could have happened if any player stood up that was on the sideline too, but it's just so close right there that I think the NBA really needs to implement. Hey, head coaches, you need to stay in your box. And if you want to be by the bench, you got to sit down because Aaron Nesmith hurt his ankle on that play and was hobbling to the bench. And then literally 2 or 3 plays later, tweaks it even more, and now he's out. And I also saw a rumor out there that he was out 2 to 4 weeks. Pacers haven't confirmed that, so let's not run with that rumor because that rumor has been wrong before from that source. So I'm not trying to be mean, but I have seen that person put out stuff before, and it has not been accurate. So
Yeah.
if you remember the Cody Zeller coming to Indiana thing about 3 4 years ago,
On that exact point, that tweet went out during the game. And I remember saying that it said 2 to 4 weeks. I'm not gonna say who it was, just I'll keep it whatever it is. It wasn't true. That was not confirmed at all. And it said
no,
just it's like you don't get an MRI that quickly. That does not happen. I didn't want to be the person who chimed in on the tweet and be like, where did you get this from? Why
right?
haven't it been reported anywhere else? That is not true. So there was a ton of people who believe that tweet. It's not real. Anyway, all it takes is one injury to a star player for them to make a change. Unfortunately, Aaron Nesmith not a star, but I can promise you, if this was LeBron James, they're moving the sideline back a little bit, like the coaching. They'll make those changes. I think in this situation, it's very unfortunate. I think it's just a little bit of a freak situation. Yeah, I think Willie Green could have been in a better spot where that does not happen. But the Pacers starting to drop like flies. It's very worrisome this early on, the amount of injuries that are taking place, because it was not just Aaron Nesmith, but to stay on him for one quick moment. You talked about 5 of 5, 12 points. That matched his season high, and he did it in 10 minutes. He was obviously on his way to having a breakout game, which could have been the difference in this matchup, potentially, of winning and losing.
No, I totally agree. I mean, we did get some good play from the wing position when he went out from Ben Sheppard, Ben Mathurin. They did play very well. We'll talk about those two guys here in a little bit, but Neesmith was having a great game, and defensively, you probably just trust him a little bit more on a guy like Brandon Ingram instead of course, um, Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker had some nice moments, right? Like we're talking about this. We're excited for that opportunity for him, but let's not put aside what Neesmith was doing in this game and how effective he was being in this game specifically. So I think that Aaron Nesmith, he's kind of a slow starter. It feels like he does this every year. It takes him a few games to really kind of get his, feet wet and really just kind of figure things out. But he was getting his footing. He was playing better basketball. I think the Boston game kind of rejuvenated him a little bit. He always needs that extra little spice against that team that traded him to
Fired up.
Indiana. So he got fired up. You're right. But I was disappointed for him because it's such a big bummer for him. But with an ankle injury, you know that there's probably a good chance he'll return from that. With
Yes.
a non-contact injury, like we saw happen in the fourth quarter, to another center for the Pacers, it looks like he's out for the year. And I know the Pacers did not rule James Wiseman out for the year after he had his Achilles happen in Detroit in the first game of the season. But now Isaiah Jackson goes up to contest a shot. And as he's coming down, he grabs the back of his leg, the opposite leg of what James Wiseman injured. And I think Wiseman's was the left and
Yes, it
maybe
was.
Jackson's was the right.
Mhm.
So, Jackson immediately grabs the back of his leg. They called it a calf injury. We all pretty much knew what was going to happen at this point. Now the Pacers, second and third string centers, are going to be sidelined for the majority of the season, if not all of the season, with Achilles injuries. And now they're, really got their backs up against the wall. And we'll get to that center spot later in the podcast, kind of close it out with giving you some names that we could see the Pacers potentially go after. But that was such a bummer to me because Isaiah Jackson was playing the best basketball of his career, in my opinion, after the playoff season against New York and then coming into this season. And I thought, honestly, throughout the first 6 games of the year, he's looked better than Myles Turner. So I was just absolutely devastated for him. I think it's a major bummer for him, especially in a contract year, but especially the Pacers now because they have their backs against the wall at the 5 spot.
Bummers all around. Yeah, he was absolutely playing so hard, so physical. His energy through the roof. I feel like you could always feel when Isaiah Jackson steps on the court. The Pacers and Isaiah did not come to an agreement when they could have about maybe a week or two ago. And now he's set to enter restricted free agency. He was poised to have a career year, bigger role, the backup big. I felt like the Pacers actually at plenty of times needed Isaiah Jackson compared to in years past where you didn't really know what you were going to get out of him, especially once Wiseman went down. Massive opportunity. I know we're no experts in Achilles injuries, but the second we saw it, I think everybody knew. Everybody just feared the worst, and it was terrible. I know they instantly label it calf, but I think we all just knew and fear the worst, and it turned out to be the worst. If they didn't rule out James Wiseman, I still just don't think that you bring him back at any point. It's like how it's such a critical injury. It's such like an Achilles injury, in my opinion, or for so long was the worst injury you could suffer in sports. So I don't think we're going to see either player for the rest of the year, and it is a huge blow to the Indiana Pacers because we already knew that with Turner set to be a free agent, there was nobody behind him that you felt could really like step up and be like, okay, is this the center of the future? But now with Isaiah Jackson, you just always wonder, like, hey, you hope he can make a full recovery. But for right now, I mean, I think we just got to take it day by day for him, wish him nothing but the best, and start to actually have to look elsewhere for how we're going to
Mm.
fill that spot.
Yeah, and I will get to that like we said here at the end of the podcast. But in order for the Pacers now at the center spot to have success, their star player, Myles Turner, I wouldn't call him a star, but their star center, I guess you could say, he's got to start turning things around, Facci,
Big
because
time, right away.
he's looked rough. And I know they had him guarding Zion at times in this matchup, and I didn't really understand that, but whatever. They had him guarding Zion at different times. He got into some foul trouble, but he was a minus 19 for this game, and he has not played well since the opening night against Detroit. Look, if you remember what Myles Turner did, he had 16 points, I believe it was,
One
I don't know if it
quarter
was in that third quarter.
was, yep.
Yeah, so he had 16 points in that third quarter, started going off, and they come back and beat the Pistons on opening night. He joins NBA TV, and they said, what was going through your mind out there in the third quarter? And Myles Turner, who has always had this chip on his shoulder, felt like he's been overlooked. He goes, I'm a hell of a player. All right. Well, the Pacers have lost their next 4 games with him in the lineup. The only one they've actually won was one he didn't play in. And if you look at his plus minus for the season, Facci, I believe if he's not number one, he's right up there with one of the top 3 plus minuses for this team. He's a minus 34 this season. Now, listen, this is even worse. He
Ooh,
was at plus 20 in the Pistons game. So if you take away that game, the last 4 games he's played in, the
it's really
Pacers have
one.
been outscored by 54 points with him on the court. He's not playing well.
It's
And the
not.
Pacers desperately need him to play well because they are so thin at the center position. Even if they go out and find guys to back him up, they are not going to be able to produce at the same level as what Isaiah Jackson was doing, more than likely, or James Wiseman with what he was learning in this system. So I just think Myles Turner, if you're the hell of a player that you said you were, now's the time to start showing it. And I have a feeling he could do it in Dallas because he does play well in Dallas, his hometown. And of course, when I say something bad about somebody, they're going to play well the next game. It just happens every time I do this podcast. But they need him to step up because if he continues on this trajectory that he's been playing, the Pacers are in a lot of trouble.
A lot. We would be cooked. I mean, you're banking on, I don't want to say because it's a contract year, you just always kind of associated with the career year. Like, hey, all right, Turner's going to step up. Hey, he's looking to, solidify that last like major contract of his career. And right now, it's sort of looking like I don't want to say that 2 seasons ago might have been the peak, but for right now, Myles Turner's averaging 14.4 points and 5.8 rebounds. That is the lowest in the post Sabonis era where he's been like the lone true big. This is just not what anyone thought. And we've talked about, coming into the year, like, could this be the year that Turner averages 8 rebounds? Like something where you're not trying to say, could he give you a 20 and 10? Like we're trying to set realistic expectations. 14 and 6 is it can't happen. He's not the same shot blocker that he used to be. It's not even like a subjective. Oh, I don't, it's flat out. Like Turner is averaging the fewest block shots since his rookie year. It's just a little bit under what it was last year, which was the lowest since his rookie year. It's like there was a time, where Miles was considered the greatest shot blocker, on planet Earth, what we'll say. And we haven't seen that in a while. He's also shooting 46% from the field. For a big, not good. And then you're talking about 33% from 3. That's the second lowest from three-point land in his career. So we're talking about borderline if you removed his rookie season. This is in many categories one of Turner's worst starts to the season. We'll at least put it that way.
Yeah, it's not good. And I know that he had the ankle injury that kept him out of the Celtics game. And so maybe he has been kind of dealing with that throughout the entirety of the season. We don't know how severe the ankle injury has been. But of course, I think he missed some time in the preseason too with an
Yeah.
injury. I can't remember if it was an
Just
ankle injury or not,
first
but
game. I believe it was an ankle. Mhm.
yeah. So, it could just be kind of a lingering thing that he's dealing with. But at the same time, you brought it up. Like when a guy is in a contract year, they are playing for that next big payday. And you usually see them play their best basketball. That's usually how it works out. For Turner, so far through the 5 games that he's played, it looks like he just got a bag and doesn't care about his results. So he's got to turn his game around, and it's not just on him. I understand that a lot of people say that the way that Tyrese Haliburton starts going is going to unlock Myles. Well, that's probably true to a certain degree, right? I definitely agree with that
Everybody,
because we haven't seen the best version of Tyrese yet.
far
But at
from.
the same time, there was a lot of wide open shots that Myles missed in this game. So it doesn't take away from the fact that he has regressed as a defender because he looks so slow out there. Like he almost looks like his feet are stuck in cement at some points. And with Isaiah Jackson, like the fact that he can be able to switch everything and cut so well, like it's just night and day difference when you see an athletic big out there compared to Myles, and the offense feels, the defense feels better, excuse me. And Turner doesn't grab rebounds. Like I love the fact that when Isaiah Jackson's out there, like he's going out there and like going for every board, and he might get in foul trouble, but he's going to be aggressive on the glass. Where Myles is kind of slow footed and doesn't really seem to have an aggression to go get the basketball, which has been his MO since he's been in the league, right?
Yeah.
He's just never been a guy that's a ferocious rebounder. But, it's not that he doesn't try on the glass. He just doesn't have the knack for it to go out there and just, he doesn't have a nose for the basketball, right? So he's got to be better at that. He's got soft touch. We understand what he can do great offensively when he's cooking, but like, he's got to be better defensively for this team to get better. And I think if he gets better defensively, it'll unlock some of his offense. So, but anything else on Turn before we move on?
No, look, we don't want to tear the guy to shreds right now, but the way that Indiana is playing right now, they need a little bit more from just about everybody. But you look at like our center situation, and it's like, I'm sorry, but Turner, yeah, a lot is going to be on your shoulders. Like we do need a lot more. And with producing a lot more comes offering a really big contract. I mean, this is where the Pacers are at financially, where we've known that if they are to pay Turner anywhere in that 25 to $30 million mark, they're going to have to make some tough decisions. And I think that if Turner isn't able to show, continued growth, it becomes a tough decision to have to make in terms of, you give the guy a lot of credit for his tenure with the Pacers, but for right now, in my opinion, it looks like 2 years ago was the peak, the prime of Myles Turner, and since then we haven't quite been able to reach that level again.
Right. And I mean, he looked good in the playoffs at times.
Yeah,
So
definitely his best
I
player.
definitely don't want to write him off. Not writing him off at all. I'm just saying, hey, we need you to step up and be better.
ASAP.
Because if you're going to be part of the Pacers' big three, you got to act like it. You can't be acting like you're part of the big six because that's where you're looking at. There's guys that have looked way better than him. I
Yeah.
mean, Shepard has looked better than him this season. Toppin has looked better than him this season, and Mathurin has looked better than him this season, and probably Neesmith and McConnell. He's honestly not looked good at all. So he's going to have to step up, especially if he's going to want paid. Because if he thinks the Pacers just kind of hand him a check, he's going to have to earn it. I'm sorry. I know he's been here for 10 years. That don't mean nothing to me.
No,
If he
well,
regresses so
real.
much, you
Mhm.
cannot afford to pay him all this money if he doesn't earn it. And that's where you take the risk of letting another team like Washington or San Antonio overpay for him, and you say thank you for your time, but you got to go. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole just yet, but he has to improve and get better for the rest of the season. It's still early on, but the guy that still has been causing fans so many headaches is Tyrese Haliburton. And I tweeted it out, Facci. I said, until Tyrese Haliburton realizes that he's got to, until he starts playing like himself again, the ceiling for this Pacers team is never going to be reached. He had 8 shot attempts in this game, 6 of them from the 3-point line. His only made 2 came on a pull-up jumper in the first quarter. He took a finger roll in the second quarter as the Pelicans had that massive run that I mentioned earlier. I think it was a 19-6 run, and he missed the finger roll, but at least he got to the rim. Other than that, no other shot outside or inside the paint. Everything else is outside on the 3-point line, and it's starting to get frustrating.
It is.
This is a Pelicans team that is without probably their top 4 defenders.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
How do you let Jose Alvarado, a guy that you're almost 8 inches taller than, keep you from getting into the paint? Jordan Hawkins, this is a shooter, not a defender. Halliburton's got to be better. And just before the Sixers game, Carlisle said Haliburton will tell you he needs to get more shots at the paint, at the rim, in the paint. And what did he do? The first 6 points that he scored were layups. In this game, settling for 3-point shots. I get it. If he makes threes, the stat lines look better, but my God, there were so many layups that he had that he passed out of. And it's just like, what is going through his head? He's got to unlock himself. What do you think is going on?
It's got to be mental. These are real struggles right now, true struggles, because it can't just be like everybody's got this Tyrese Haliburton manual. Hey, just passing it around. Here's how you guard him. Like, no, it's like he just has not been himself. I think Pacer Nation has really tried to defend him. I've gotten in some Twitter beefs lately. Evan Turner was calling him mid. I came to
Yeah,
Tyrese.
let's talk about that. You and Evan Turner have beef now?
I have always disliked Evan Turner. Always disliked him. I felt like we were sold like a knockoff package back in the day when we traded Danny Granger for him, because what we got, or what we thought we got, was the leading scorer on the 76ers. What we got was a guy that didn't get along with his teammates, had strep throat and missed game one of the playoffs, and just it just never worked out. Like I said, there was not one memorable Evan Turner moment. But when I saw Evan Turner calling out Tyrese Haliburton, I had to say something. And ever since then, Tyrese has not backed me up on that. Like it's like, come on, man, just come out there and just be you. And whatever. Evan Turner kept going until I just let him respond. I just walked away. But
Take the reply, bro.
yeah, exactly. But I looked at it. I broke out the calculator because for Tyrese Haliburton, I'm like, look, this guy's taking a lot of shots, a lot of threes, not enough shots. 58% of his shot attempts have been from three. 58. He's shooting 24% from three.
Mm.
24%. If you're shooting 50% from three and you're hitting them, great. Awesome. You're shooting about 60% of your shots from three and you are hitting sub 25% of them. I'm sorry, it's not a good shot anymore. It's just like this is a guy that for the first like 3 years of his career was a 40% three-point shooter. I just don't understand. This is dating back to the hamstring injury, basically. His three-point shot has fallen off of a cliff. I don't know what's going on with it. It used to be a great shot for him. Now I feel like he's settling for it way, way too much. And I'm starting to even read things that like Tyrese doesn't have a bag, as they say. Like he doesn't have a deep move. Like he doesn't have a deep bag. Can't pull in there and break guys off the dribble. We're seeing like Indiana passes the ball up, but maybe I think he's passing it too soon. He's not trying to beat a lot of defenders off the dribble. I think we got to see him be able to get back into the lane, draw some contact. There were so many times. I mean, you think of like what about that amazing floater that he had over Pat Beverly in the playoffs? Like where is all of this been? And almost 60% of your shots come from three when you're struggling that mightily. I'm sorry, but that's just not a good game plan.
Yeah, I mean, he must think he plays for the Boston Celtics because of how many threes they're allowing them to shoot this year. But I mean, it must be a new point of emphasis because Anthony Edwards is shooting like crazy from
He
outside,
is,
right?
but he's hitting them over
Yeah.
40% last I checked.
That's the difference, right? And that is where it all comes into play. Like if Halliburton was hitting his threes, nobody would care that he's shooting more threes and twos, right? I think it's the fact that he's struggling so poorly from outside. Some of them are good looks. Some of them, I think one was a heave that he threw up there at the end of a quarter. So does that really count? No. I know they're kind of playing with that in the G League in terms of like not counting heave shots against your stats, which could help, but still, it's just the fact that he only had 8 shots and it was the one, two, three, four, five. He was sixth most attempts of anybody in the game. I know he did get some free throws, right? 6 of 6 from the free throw line because when he actually drove some, he got fouled. So maybe he should continue to look at driving a little bit more to open up his outside game. And I think the right shots will come for him, but like he just has to be a little bit more aggressive. We've talked about Halliburton ad nauseum, and everybody knows like until he takes off and kind of ascends at a consistent level back to all-star form, this team is going to have nights like you saw against the Pelicans where they have a chance to win, but they can't pull it out in the clutch. They've had some really bad clutch moments, up by 5 against Philly with like under a minute to go or like right around a minute to go. And they like blow that game with giving them 6 straight points and had 3 turnovers. So they got to figure it out. But I will say, if we want to get on a positive note here, Facci, and kind of, change the direction of this conversation, both the Bens showed up, right? Ben Mathurin looked pretty good in this game, and I thought Ben Sheppard, career night for him, right? 20 points is a career high for him.
His,
One of the best games I've ever seen him play in his career, and I just love the way that he brought the energy off the bench. I thought he was fantastic.
I think Ben Shepard just plays the game right. There's never times where I never remember a time being like, oh my God, we got to get Shepard out of there. Like I feel like he's always just like a smart player who, not so flashy. He's not taking bad shots when he's taking threes. I typically feel like they are good, wide open looks. And he was what he was advertised coming to the draft, and that was a 3-point marksman. He went 6 of 11 from three. That's the type of guy that, look at this. He took 12 shots, 11 of them came from three. He hit 6 of them. You could
Yeah.
live with that all day. So 20 points, like you said, career high. The 6 made threes was a career high as well. Really, really happy for him. There was a moment where I think he had like, I don't know, 14 or 15 points. And I was like, yeah, we got to get him to 20. Like this is just this is that type of night. Like keep feeding him, and he did not let the Pacers down. So that was awesome to see because you wondered like is there that ceiling on Ben Sheppard where it's like, what could he really become? And when you see that 20-point game early on in the season, you start to just be like, you know what? Like, little by little, I feel like he could really develop into a very, very solid player. Does that mean a starter on the Pacers? I don't know. I don't know about that. But could he be a like a real good, consistent contributor off the bench for years to come? I really think he could. I think that every single team needs a Ben Sheppard, someone who's going to play defense, going to hit threes, going to dive for loose balls, going to play hard. You never have to ask him to play hard. He always plays hard.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Shepherd's a guy that you cannot keep out of the rotation, right? Saw last year with TJ McConnell. Same story for Ben Shepherd this year. He just plays too hard, plays the right way. Carlisle said he's one of our best rebounders. He ended up getting three rebounds in the game. Thought that was funny that he actually said that, but he does. He fights for loose balls. Like he had that massive rebound right on the jump ball with the Celtics in
That was
overtime and got the
big.
tip. I mean, he just is always in the, in the right spot at the right time, making some of the biggest plays, whether it's offense or defense. He tries super hard, and I think you cannot erase that. So, Facci, we have something new that we're going to be adding to all of our post-game recap shows here, and that's our player awards, and we've got two of them. So if there's anything else that we need to add, please send those suggestions into at Alex Golden NBA on Twitter or alexgoldenNBA@gmail.com to let me know if you would like us to add any of the awards or put them in the comment section here on YouTube. But we've got our MVP of the game and our game changer of the game. And so we wanted to pay homage to some of our former Pacer players here. And so because this guy, I won multiple MVPs in the ABA, we're going Mel Daniels, MVP of the game. His jersey's retired, thought it was only right to honor him. And then we've got the Feisty Foster game changer of the game. And another award that we have that we won't be putting out this game is the Reggie Miller Clutch Player of the game. So no clutch plays in this one for the Pacers as they lose 125 to 118. But for our Mel Daniels MVP of the game, Facci, we'll have a debate here. Who do you think that should be?
I think Ben Sheppard, career night. I thought he was huge. And the 20 points, I mean, how do you not award a guy? I mean, I know we got numerous awards we could be giving out. I'm going to give him an MVP for a career performance.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think it has to be a Ben Shepherd. I think the only other person you could potentially make the case for is a Ben Mathurin, but Ben Mathurin had some ups and downs in this game as well. I think it was a minus 11 or 13 in this game. So tough to give it to him because he was out there for a lot of the bad stretches for the Pacers. So I agree that our first Mel Daniels MVP of the game goes to Ben Shepherd. Now, the Feisty Foster game changer of the game. This might be a little bit different, but I think we got to go with Isaiah Jackson. I know
I
that he's not
completely
gonna.
agree.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he's not going to get any more for the rest of the year, but the fact that he was very good off the bench. He had 8 rebounds. He had 6 points. And what did he have? A +7 in the game, Facci. He was a difference maker for this Pacers team when he was on the floor in just 16 minutes. I think if you look at a Jeff Foster type of player, Feisty is Isaiah Jackson, and he brought it tonight.
No, he absolutely did. I really felt like, he could have been on his way to maybe, I don't know, a double double or so. Like he just, it's going to be tough knowing that Indiana is already a not so good rebounding team, puts it lightly, and then you lose Isaiah Jackson. It just makes it that much more tougher. I definitely think that he's very deserving of this award and what's his last opportunity of the year, most likely.
Absolutely. So this has been a lengthier episode already as we've kind of recapped this game. And so I do know we want to get to our potential replacements for Isaiah Jackson at the center position. So we're going to do that on part 2 of this episode. We're going to release both parts on Sunday to celebrate. So it'll be a celebration, part 1 of 1000 episode, and then 1001 we'll kick it off with the Isaiah Jackson stuff. So come back to that feed for that one because we're just going a little bit too lengthy on this one. So we will be back for episode number 1001 for that one. So this is just a tough game to talk about because there was so much that happened, but the Pacers have a chance to get things right against Dallas on Monday night. It's a 9:45 tip-off. Very weird time. So I don't know if you knew it was that late, Facci, but
No.
yeah. Chris Denari told me that on our podcast that we did, and I said, Facci, when he listens to this, will be very disappointed that he has to stay up that late to do a
Oh
post-game
man.
recap show. So
Yeah.
you better get some a little nap in before the game, Foch, because we're going to have to do a recap late, but we won't have any episodes on Tuesday because of the election. So a lot of voting stuff going on there. So if you guys, want to vote, get out there and vote. If you don't want to vote, I'm not pushing any agendas. So you have the civil right to do it. So if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, it's up to you. I'm not going to pressure you. But yeah, anything else that you want to say about this game before we wrap it up?
No, just want to say, Isaiah Jackson, we will miss you. We wish you a speedy recovery, and hey, can't wait to see you, get back on the court when the timing is right.
All right, we'll be right back for part 2 of this podcast where we will give you an in-depth look at some potential replacements for Isaiah Jackson and James Wiseman, as the Pacers now only have one center on the roster. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll close things out here by letting you listen to 5 voice messages from our great fans as we celebrate episode 1000. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Alex Facci and Setting the Pace podcast. Congratulations on your 1000th episode. We really appreciate everything you do for the Pacers fans and community, and here's to 1,000 more episodes.
Alex and Facci, congratulations on 1,000 episodes, man. The best Pacer pod in the game. We're waiting for 1,000 more, so keep them coming. I'm so proud of you guys. Thank you for the great content. And let's go Pacers.
Alex and Facci, what's up? Congratulations, 1,000 episodes of Setting the Pace. Huge milestone, but it's just the beginning. We all know it's just the beginning. Congratulations. I've loved listening to you over the years. I love everything you bring to the table for the Pacers in terms of content. You're a huge part of this community, and I'm thankful for everything you do. I love our agreements. I love our disagreements. I just love interacting with you guys. Good luck with everything. Good luck with your professional and personal lives going forward. You're both going to be busy very shortly, so I'm excited for you both. And have fun. 1,000 episodes. Enjoy it. Make the most of it. Take it easy.
What's up, Alex and Facci? Longtime fan Jake Exline here. Just wanted to congratulate you guys on 1,000 episodes. What a huge accomplishment for you guys. Been a fan since the very beginning, and it's been awesome to see how the podcast has grown. And look forward to many more years of sustained success. Congratulations, guys. Keep it up. Keep setting the pace, and let's go Pacers.
Hey there, Setting the Pace, Alex and Facci. This is Rooster. My video was going to be at home with myself and Little Rooster, but it didn't rain enough, so you're getting a ride in the tractor cab with me. I just wanted to say that I'm a big fan of the podcast, as everyone already knows. I've enjoyed meeting Alex many times and talking with him and annoying him with all of my stupid Pacers ideas and questions, but he answers them gracefully, and that's all we can ask for. Facci, hope to meet you sometime soon. Still kind of bummed that you apparently set the Wizards jersey I custom ordered you ablaze. That was kind of crappy. I would wear my jersey that I got from you guys for winning the bet, but you know, it never came in, which is a bummer. But anyway, glad you guys have made it 1,000 episodes. Sorry I didn't start listening to you from episode 1, but I have a pretty hard time believing I'm going to miss any of them moving forward. So keep up the great work, the great Pacers coverage. Let's go Pacers.